So the Ugandan government recently passed the Protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026, which caps inflows to a specific institution at $100,000 per year. Beyond that, you need to seek approval from the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Well, to understand the effects of this, you need to understand that the value of your local currency in the country is backed by your foreign reserves and your exports. As of date, Uganda has a foreign reserve of about $6 billion. Kenya has about $14 billion. South Africa has about $72 billion. And China has up to $3 trillion. So to understand how an economy comes to collapse, let us look at the story of Zimbabwe. Now, in the late 1890s and early 1900s, obviously in South Africa, the Dutch settlers were already involved in mining. A company known as De Beers specifically then thought about further explorations north, and they founded what was known as the British South Africa Company. These guys then eventually moved and found the areas of what is known as present-day Zimbabwe, but then they called it Southern Rhodesia. They then invited other settlers to come into Southern Rhodesia because the area had plenty of arable land. They then imposed a system similar to apartheid, where black natives were kept in concentration camps while the white minorities captured all of the arable land, and then enforced mechanization and forced the black community to work on their large farms for low wages. Eventually, the economy of Zimbabwe was booming due to what? Agricultural exports and plenty of minerals that were being mined. And so the white minority in Southern Rhodesia started pushing for independence from Britain. However, Britain denied them because of what? The way they were treating the natives back in Southern Rhodesia, also known as Zimbabwe now. Eventually, in the early 1980s, two political parties come up. One known as the Zimbabwe African National Union, led by a gentleman known as Robert Mugabe, backed by China and North Korea, and the other known as Zimbabwe Africa People's Union, led by a gentleman known as Joshua Nkomo, and backed by the Soviet Union. And these people were pushing for rights of the black natives in Southern Rhodesia. Eventually, the white minority agreed to negotiations, and elections were held in April of the year 1980. And a gentleman known as Robert Mugabe became the first Prime Minister of Zimbabwe. And then sanctions that had been placed on Southern Rhodesia by Britain were removed, and the economy thrived again. Mugabe's notion was to make the benefits of Zimbabwe's economy accessible to all. And so he pushed for free education, constructed about 500 healthcare centers within just 12 years, and then agriculture also continued to boom. However, a lot of people are driven by greed.